Swim check 1, 2. Bike check 1, 2. Run check 1, 2. I think we're ready. Let's try this. Welcome to the Try Beginner's Luck podcast, a podcast where we explore the sport of triathlon from a variety of perspectives to help beginner triathletes on their journey. I am your host, Mashonda Shines. Welcome back to another edition of Try Beginner's Luck. I still don't think I have the hang of it. Every time I come on and say that greeting, I still get butterflies. But even more so, I do like this pre-routine. Like I go through the motions. I tell myself, you got this, girl. I do my breathing exercises. I lean my head to the shoulder and just really get pumped up because I am so excited literally every time I get to do this. And I love when I get to bring good people to Try Beginner's Luck. Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there who are dads in the natural and dads, just because you've adopted. So fathership or fatherhood is an amazing club. And I just want to say happy Father's Day, especially to my dad. So I do appreciate you and love you. Now, of course, I love a good father-daughter duo. And I have wanted to do this episode for a very long time. I got an opportunity to meet the daughter at Age Group Nationals last year. And I knew then they would be my father-daughter duo. But before I introduce them, I got to tell on myself a little bit. The dad you can call him Mr. Triathlon. Listen, if you don't know who he is, you are sleeping under a rock somewhere. There is not a post that I don't see on IG where I see him dancing after a workout. Yeah. He works and is a sports marketing manager for two brands, one which you will know is Rudy and the other is Synergy Wetsuits. Yeah. You probably know who I'm talking about. He's been racing for 20 years in the sport. He's a USA Triathlon All-American. He's an Ironman 70.3 World Championship qualifier. He's a USA Triathlon Duathlon National Champion. He's Team USA athlete, and he's raced with Worlds 4 times. He's a Boston Marathon finisher, New York Marathon finisher, Chicago Marathon finisher, and 2013 bronze medal winner for the ITU Worlds Championship for standard duathlon. But let me not forget the daughter, who is racing quite competitively herself, who's been racing since she was 8 years old and currently races with Drury University and is a champion in her own right. So I get to welcome to the Try Beginner's Luck audience, Mike and Bella Buenting. Welcome to Try Beginner's Luck, y'all. How y'all doing?
Doing good. It's great to be here with you.
Absolutely. You gonna give us a little dance, Mike?
Wow, I might embarrass Bella. I get picked on for this stuff all the time.
I love the dancing. It is so fun and definitely just a way to, just if you're gonna turn on social media, you want to see joyful things, or at least I do. So I curate my page to see joyful things. And I love to see you like dancing after a workout, or you could be doing it before a workout to hype yourself up, kind of like I was doing before the podcast, like, okay, I got this, I can do it. But I got to tell on myself. So as an announcer, sometimes we say things, or at least it just could be me. And I remember I was just so excited to call your name in transition. And Mike is looking so serious. And I was like, and everybody, this is Mike Buenting with blank, blank, blank. And y'all, it was the wrong company. I was loud and wrong as wrong could be. But I'm so glad for Grace. So thank you so much. And this is Mike Buenting with Rudy Project, not to be mistaken. So how's it been? Like 20 years, Bella? You've been doing it since you were 8 years old. What is triathlon to you all?
Bella, do you want to go first?
Sure. I guess Really for me, triathlon is it's a big part of my life. It like kind of is my life, I guess. I mean, I started out as a swimmer and then a runner, and then because of my dad, I started doing triathlon. I think one of my first races was an Iron Kids race because he was racing probably a 70.3, and they had the Iron Kids races, and so since we were all going for the race, he started having me do those, and it's just been I've been doing it ever since. And so we used to try to find races before I could do sprint races. We would do ones where they had the kids race and the adult race, and so we could both race in one weekend. And then as I got older, I started being able to do the same races as him. Either we would both do sprint races or he would maybe do Olympic while I was doing sprint. But really, it's just kind of been it's been a huge part of my life, and it's honestly like that's what my dad and I have always done together is we train together. And um especially like mostly now it's just the summers we get to train together since I'm at college during the school year. So that's always fun to come home for the summer and we get to train and race together. And that's kind of just been one of our the biggest thing we do as a family is we get to travel and we get to race together and then travel or train, sorry.
Aw, she's gonna make me all teary-eyed on here because
That's the whole point.
I know it is. It's so special. It's yeah, triathlon obviously is life for me because it's my job also. So I work in the community and I spend every day speaking to triathletes or runners or cyclists or some sort of active, healthy person and supporting them in my roles at Rudy Project or at Synergy. And USA Triathlon is like family to me, and I'm a USAT Foundation ambassador. So yeah, my whole life is pretty much revolving around triathlon some way, either with Bella, with family, or my job.
So, Mike, this is for you. 20 years ago, how did you even get started with triathlon?
So triathlon for me, I was a runner. So running is my background, and I was a running coach for a long time. I used to be the Lifetime Fitness like marathon coach and work with runners. So my focus was running. I was doing a lot of marathons, but as a kid, I was also a cyclist, and so I was kind of getting back into riding bike again, and I started looking at ways to sort of cross train and do something different in the summer in between running spring and fall marathons. And so I jumped into back then working for Lifetime Fitness. We used to produce a race here in Minneapolis, which was a really big race. And so I jumped into that race and got into it. And then I just started getting hooked into triathlon from there.
Hmm. Minneapolis. I'm going to be there in August.
Well, nice.
I
I mean,
know. I
maybe
know.
if I'm here, you got to hit me up.
I
I have a lot of
know. I
travel in
know.
August, so we'll see.
This is a little plug. There is a women's triathlon that
Yes.
I will be there announcing. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah, with Kim Zest and the YWCA. So shout out to Minneapolis. I'm like, since I've said yes, I have all of these really wonderful connection points to Minneapolis. Well, I love it.
I think
Um,
Bella did that race before, didn't you, as a kid? Yeah.
Yeah, I did it once, sometime in high school, I think.
Nice, 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 nice. Well, I get to come there. And so I'm excited about it. So 20 years ago, you said, I'm going to diversify my opportunities in sport and triathlon. And have you gone back to standalone marathon running and standalone uh, running, or is it just triathlon because you get to do all three?
So up until 2018, I was still racing probably a couple marathons a year, mixed in with a lot of triathlon. And then in 2018 was my last marathon that I ran. It would have been November of 2018, Madison, Wisconsin. And then I went full on triathlon at that point. Cause at that point, Bella was definitely was old enough and racing on a bigger level. And we were taking trips to race father-daughter, Team USA at the Gold Coast of Australia and things like that. So I really started making this shift into just triathlon. And the biggest thing, like, that was also kind of the time when I decided I need to become a better swimmer because swimming was my weak link, right? So I was a great runner, great cyclist. That's why I was like a duathlon national champion and could do all that because the run bike got that down. Swimming, I sort of just swam to get through the distance of my races. And I'd done 2 Ironmans back in those days, 2012 and 2014, as well as 70.3s. But like, I was a slower swimmer. And so, but Bella was a very competitive swimmer and she loved swimming, like 6 days a week, tons of hours every day. I mean, she was just so, and I was like, what does she love about swimming so much? So I decided to dial back my running and focus more on my swim. And then I just went all in on triathlon.
So Bella, what was it that you loved so much about swimming?
I think starting out, like growing up swimming, I did club and just the community with club swimming and going to those practices with my friends. And I had really great coaches growing up. So I just really enjoyed that. And I loved swim meets. And I did a couple years of high school swim, but I always had to choose between cross country and swimming. So I alternated each year. But then with triathlon, I've just always felt really calm in the water. And so, especially when I was younger, I would get really nervous before my triathlon races. And so, once I could get in the water for warm up, that's when I would really calm down and feel good. And so, I'd love just starting out each race in the water because that's kind of what got me in the right mindset for the rest of the race. And I would just really feel like I was kind of in my element, and it was a good way to get going and start the race.
Hmm. So back to you, Mike. In 2018, you decided to focus on triathlon and getting better with swimming. What did you do so that you could be a better swimmer? Because swimming is a key barrier to entry in sport, and it's really challenging. So, what were some of the things that you did so that you could become a better swimmer?
The main thing I did then was I joined a master swim program. So I got into a master swim program with coaches and with other swimmers in the lanes of all different levels, all of them being a lot better than me for the most part. And it helped push me every day to get in the water, follow their workouts, swim with faster people, get pushed, and get some coaching to just help my technique a little bit because swimming is so technique driven. And that's why, it's awesome for these young kids like Bella when she was so young to get started and learn proper at those ages. And then when they grow up, it's just easy for them. Where, when I'm diving into trying to become a proper swimmer in my 30s or something, it's a little more difficult. So, yeah.
So, are you still doing master swim, or are you at a point where you're sustaining yourself and just, working with a coach, if you have a coach, triathlon wise, to just better your, endurance
Yeah.
and
Um,
stroke?
so I'm not doing master swim anymore. I do miss it. What I kind of about maybe a year ago or something. I don't know when it was exactly. I kind of left the master's program and decided to just go join a different facility to swim in this pool on my own.
Mhm.
More, and the only reason why well, two reasons I did that. One, to be a little more flexible in the time of day I go, because when you're in a master's program, it starts at 5:30 a.m. every day, and you got no choice. Like if you want to swim, you're going to 5:30 a.m. practice or whatever, right? And you're swimming at that time with the group. Where I was like, it'd be nice to have a little bit more sleep once in a while, maybe start my swim at 7 a.m. So that meant that I couldn't do a master's program. I had to swim on my own. So that was one factor. The second factor was as a triathlete, we swim train a little differently versus sometimes in a master's program because like I didn't grow up swimming the way Bella did. She's one of the most beautiful butterflyers out there. So like when they would call an IM set and say, hey, we're going to do butterfly or backstroke or breaststroke, like I'm lousy at those strokes. So I just swim freestyle. But a lot of people in a master's program sometimes come from a swim background, so they could do those strokes. They might have been collegiate swimmers back in the day, and now they're just older and staying fit. So I would get frustrated with some of the swim sets once in a while because I felt like, it isn't really what I want. So that was the second reason why I chose to go swim on my own. But there's a lot of days I miss having someone to push me in the water.
I can see that, getting frustrated and not being able to do all the sports, especially when you're an athlete. You want to be able to accomplish it. You don't want to feel like you can't accomplish anything. So I totally get that. Let's just jump into your first time story. Take us back down memory lane 20 years ago in Minneapolis to the first time you toed the start line of a triathlon.
Oh man, back then. So kind of my story with all of this, and even with like getting back into marathon running at the time was I was a little unhealthy back then also. So, I mean, people see me now and don't realize, but I worked in the music industry for most of my life and also fished professionally. So we didn't eat the best. Fast food was kind of a way of life sometimes. And yeah, so like back then I was, a little bit chunkier than I am now and not quite so fast, but I mean, it was a learning curve. I'd say like when you start in triathlon, like, like back then I had a road bike, and it's not a triathlon bike with aero bars. And I think that that's kind of a good place for a lot of people. I mean, I meet a lot of people wanting to get started in triathlon and they think they need all the top level gear to just go do their first race. They think their first race is an Ironman distance or this long distance when they really should just go find their local sprint races and just like get their feet wet. Use their road bike, use what they got and just go do it. So that was me back then. I was fumbling around, not really sure of everything I was doing. And, and you just started kind of finding your way after you get hooked on it.
We need more details than that.
More details than
We
that?
need more details. Take us through the swim. What was it like for you? Because, think about it. You
I'm
weren't a
gonna
good
be
swimmer.
50 this year. I'm old, man. My memory is gone on some of
You
that.
are not about to be 50, Mike. Stop playing with
I'm
us.
gonna be 50 in June. And you
He
know what?
is.
For my 50th birthday, as I'm going to
Chip,
Germany to do Challenge Roth and the return to full distance triathlon. It'll be 10 years since my last full distance.
come on. I noticed you've been training for challenge. At least that's what I've been seeing. And
Yeah.
so come on. So that's what you're doing for your 50th birthday. So when is your birthday exactly?
Technically, my 50th birthday would be June 27th,
Okay.
but the race is July 7th. So it's, whatever, 10 days after or whatever, but it's close enough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, most people want to go do whatever else on their birthday. I want to go torture myself for 10 hours or something, swim, bike, run.
Here for that. Come on. What a birthday gift. 10 years being out of the long course game and welcome back. That's such a good welcome. Now, Bella, will you be there to cheer your dad on?
Yes, I will.
Awesome. Okay, but still, Mike, your first race. Don't play with me now. Like you remember, you just like, man, I don't want to be embarrassed on the show. It's
So I
okay.
think my first race, if I remember right, I did do a local. So that's back when Lifetime had the big Minneapolis Tri, and it was a big pro race. It was good. And so that was going to be my goal race of the summer. But I decided I didn't want this big race, an Olympic distance, to be my first race. So I had found 2 or 3 weeks prior to that, maybe there was a local race. I don't even think that race is around anymore, but it was a little sprint race up in White Bear Lake, Minnesota here. And yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think, it was probably a 500, 700 meter swim. And I can't remember if I'm assuming we wore wetsuits back then for that race because the water wouldn't have been, it'd been early June. So I'm guaranteeing you it was a nice slow swim. I came really far out. I came out of the water really far back. I probably fumbled through transition trying to figure out how to get like my clip-in shoes going and all that. Cause there's no way for my first race, I was rubber banding my shoes in and doing flying mounts the way I do now. And I say flying mount loosely. I'm not like Bella with that. So I would have been probably, in transition, getting some socks on, sliding my shoes on. I had my 2-piece tri kit on. I would have been like walking my bike out, hearing your cleats on your shoes, click, clack, and then getting on the bike and going for it. And then, come in, grab those run shoes and head out. And I'm sure it was nothing pretty because, during that year when I was first kind of getting into the sport, like I said, that's when I was not as lean and mean as I am. Like I was probably 40 pounds heavier than I am now.
I like how you said lean and mean, because I can't see you being mean, but I can see the lean.
The saying, not mean, but
I know.
you're with me.
I'm playing with you. Just joking. Bella, take us back to 8 years old. What was it like doing your first triathlon? And was it a sprint, super sprint? What was it like for you?
Well, I wish I could remember more. I'm trying to, Dad, do you know, was my first race like the Miracles of Mitch, probably, or would it have been an Iron Kids?
Oh, it might have been an Iron Kids race. I heard
We
it could have been like a
probably,
6-gear little 24-inch
yeah.
bike or
My
something.
first summer racing, I remember we went to Colorado, and that was my first, I think that was my first Iron Kids. Or was it, or Iowa? It was one of those two.
Yeah. How old were you in 2010? 8?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. We did. I did Boulder 70.3.
Yeah, I
You did Boulder.
remember being in Colorado, and I remember watching you race. I don't know if I remember my race as well though. But the Iron Kids races, they were way shorter than a sprint race. It was probably like a 200-meter swim or something like that, if even.
Yeah. If even at your age.
Yeah, it might have been like even 100 meters, and then probably like a couple miles on the bike, and then I think we did like a half-mile run or something like that. So they were really short. But those were really fun to do. I think Iowa was where I got first on the podium. Um, so I was maybe 9 for that one. But I had, yeah, little. What was my first bike? Wasn't a road bike, was it? My first racing bike, or was it?
No, once she moved into her first geared bike, the brand Redline made this little, it was technically a cyclocross bike because it had these wide kind of knobby tires like a gravel bike, but it had quad bars, so it looked like my road bike, and it had some brakes up here and there, and I think it was a 24-inch wheel, so it wasn't
Yeah.
and so that was her first like bike she could shift gears on, had things. And I mean, I used to put it up on the kinetic trainer, and she'd be indoors in the wintertime with her little 24-inch on the kinetic trainer, rocking it and stuff. So that was her. Yeah, that's when she started making the shift to really getting into it. And then from there, it was kind of like I just started getting her the best bike I could get her that would fit. Like I think we moved to like a 44-centimeter Trek road bike after that, and then just kept graduating from there. So yeah.
Yeah, he definitely remembers those early years better than I do.
She's so
But
cute.
What right. What I found so interesting is that you being on a trainer with your bike at 9 or 10 years old, that is blowing my mind right now.
yeah, I would have been doing club swim at the time. And then yeah, I would have just been biking and running on my own, and then we would spend the summers doing tri. And so I'd do my club swim meets, and then we would find a few tries to do. We'd usually, when they had the Iron Kids, we would go to pretty much Iowa like every summer, and I would do my Iron Kids. And then, yeah, when I was like 8 and 9, we had local races that were called Miracles of Mitch, but it was a like fundraiser type of triathlon. And so it was a bunch of kids that were really little doing those. And those ones were always fun because I'd have like people that we were friends with, my age racing, since it was just like a pretty chill local race. So yeah.
Okay. So now I want you guys, if you can remember, do you remember the first race where you did a full triathlon together?
I would guess Bella's first longer adult type race was probably a Lake Minnetonka triathlon, right, Bella? Probably.
Most likely.
There's a local race to us here, which is an 800-meter swim. Like that's got a 15, 16-mile bike. And then
Yeah, I think it's 15 and then a 5K run.
and the reason why we could get her into that is because at the time, the race director had a daughter that was on Bella's swim team that was older. So the race director knew Bella was a good athlete and could swim. And so they let her in at a younger age to be able to compete. And she holds the course record for juniors on that course, actually. And she's as a young lady in middle school and high school, she would compete against the other elite adults, and she could rock the podium with them and beat most of the field. So she actually owns 4 course records in the state of Minnesota.
That's what we're talking about. Come on, see, champion in her own right. Come on. Yes, Bella, button it every time she gets out there on the course. I love it. I love it. So what was that experience like training? Because Mike, are you the coach? Were you the coach back then of Bella?
Well, that's a
Yes.
tough subject sometimes, but yes.
Okay.
Not my swim coach ever, though.
We understand that. What was it like training with your dad, and Mike, you training with your daughter for this first race?
I mean, I love it. I mean, like she said, it's really great because it's our time together, right? Like it's something that we have in common. It's a passion of ours. We get to go out and we can talk about sport. We ride our bikes together. This is just great for me, because when she's young, I can't just turn her loose on the roads with cars to go train on her own. So I got to be there with her and protect her and lead the routes and, look after her. And so, even though she's going to be 22 years old this summer, yes, that's how old I am. But, I still, you still look after him that way. Right. So,
yeah. I am always, we had a father-daughter duo on earlier in the year in February, and it's just it was really beautiful to see that protective side of dad come out when it comes to like racing and being, like, where's my daughter, where are these things. And he equally was the quote unquote coach for a time period. When did you, if you did, have to say, I can no longer coach Bella, it is time for her to like go to the next level? And what was that like for you emotionally?
Bella can answer on this too. I don't know if I've ever fully let go.
No,
to be
haven't.
honest. I mean, I have technically. She's got her college coaches, but I'm always inquiring questions, giving advice, sometimes not always agreeing with certain things. Again, I'd never interfere with swim. Like that was one thing that was great about her high school and club. She had the best swim coaches, and she was so good in the water back then. And then when her first couple of years of college, her first college coach was not so good. And so like her swim dipped, you could tell it wasn't as good as it used to be. And that's coaching matters a lot, like having the right coach you connect with and bond with. And so, I mean, I don't always want to be coach. I really wanted to find that right person. But we've just never found that right person that understands Bella sometimes. So like I help monitor and work with her on it. Is that Bella, you can elaborate on this?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get he lets my college coach, and he doesn't, like, during the college season, he doesn't try to write workouts, but I get almost daily texts. What was your workout today? How'd your workout go? Um and yeah, asking his questions. And then as soon as I get home in the summer, it switches over back to him coaching for bike and run. And I pretty much do my own for swimming. And my college coach can give suggestions, especially if we ask him. So he can help with the swim, which is nice. But yeah, I'd say when I'm home, he goes back to being coach.
So my question is for Bella now. How do you differentiate between coach and dad?
Um, you don't really. There's not really a difference with him, at least. It's kind of just all the same. Especially, I guess we don't really do the exact same races anymore, especially since I like to do sprint races and he is more 70.3 or full Ironman, or even Olympic distance if he's doing shorter. So we tend to just have different races. So usually I'm racing and he's watching. So he's watching as dad, but also as coach. So it's kind of just all one.
Like you're flushed. I can see you're like oh,
Oh,
Bella, your answer is depending on what type of workout you're going to get tomorrow.
yeah.
So
Actually, she's coming off injury right now, so there's no coaching. She's just babying herself back. Um, she actually 6 weeks ago, tomorrow, right, Bella, had PRP done in both of her knees because she raced. I mean, she's tough as nails. The one thing about Bella is she is a rule follower and she's extremely tough. What was the award you won in cross country? True Grit or something like that? Like, because
Mhm.
if coach says do something, she's gonna do it. If it's time to race and push, even if she's in pain, she's gonna push through it and she's gonna do it. And I love that about her. But it also sometimes has consequences and builds up over time and ends up to where she had to get PRP done in both of her knees. And she hasn't run in 6 weeks. So tomorrow is her first run in 6 weeks. She's going to go out for her short little run walk and see how it goes. Yeah.
well, congrats on being on the road to recovery. And I
Thank
love the smile on your face because I wouldn't have known just by seeing the sheer joy of you just talking about sport. And for those of you who, like me, had to pull out Google to find out what PRP is that platelet rich plasma?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you explain what that is? Because if I don't know, I always assume somebody else doesn't know. So can you
Mhm.
share with us what that is?
Yeah, so basically they take your blood and then they go and spin it and pull the plasma out and then re-inject it into the site that is in pain. Or so like for me, I had tendonitis in both of my knees, so like they injected it right back into my knees. And so it is quite a process. They had to take quite a bit of my blood since I was doing 2 injections, and then it's pretty painful, and then you have to do, usually it's 4 to 6 weeks recovery. So for me, I had like 2 weeks of absolutely nothing, and then I was able to get in the pool and do some pulling, and then I waited about 5 weeks before I even got on the bike and did elliptical. And so I've been doing elliptical for the past week, and then since tomorrow will be week 6, I'm going to start running and kind of just slowly build that back up.
Well, kudos to you for taking charge of your health and making sure you get what you need so that you can continue to do the sport that you love so dearly. So I want to come to you. You're in college, you're racing on a high level collegiate scale. What is that like for you? What is it like to be racing in this sport? Um, yeah.
It's so fun. I do love racing. College, that's most of my friends are my teammates, or other athletes, but like having a team the way that we do at Drury, it just makes training so much more fun. And you have other people who are going for the same goals and also love the sport, who are pushing you every day to train. And it makes like it's so much more motivating, and it makes it so much more enjoyable to wake up early each morning. And some mornings we're like, man, we're waking up before 5 a.m. to go do like 3 hours of workouts, but having the team makes it so much more fun. And also, I started collegiate tri in 2020, which was COVID, so I didn't really have my freshman year of college. I didn't really have a season, but collegiate tri was still pretty new. And so it's been really fun over the past 4 years just watching how many more schools have added programs, and all the schools have really built it up, and watching it grow for girls my age. And like when I was in high school, there I had a very small limit, like a small group of schools that I could consider to go do collegiate tri. And now the girls who are in high school right now, they have so many more options, which is really cool to see, and just to see how much it's growing and how this sport is growing. And there's so many more draft legal races and NCAA races throughout the year and across the country. It's been really cool to watch.
So I agree. I think it is really cool to see something grow and being able to have reference points to be like, I remember when this was like X, Y, and Z. What does this growth mean to you? And how do you think it will, um, I say, enhance your trajectory in sport?
I think because I would like to, when I graduate, I want to keep working in sport, and working in triathlon would be great too. So like seeing NCAA for women expand just like brings so many more opportunities for myself and others. And it just kind of shows that, like this sport is going to keep growing and it's getting more popular, and it's just allowing so many more people to experience our sport. Because a lot of these college teams too, like mine included, will have girls who like their first triathlon ever is a collegiate triathlon. So like they come from swimming or running or biking background, or maybe two of the three, and they get brought on and they start training, and then they fall in love with the sport. Like one of my current teammates, she came to Drury for cross country and track, and now she's switching over to just triathlon and no longer running cross country. And so like just seeing that is really cool, and like it's fun to see more people experience this sport and fall in love with it like I have.
And this question is for both of you. And when I heard Bella said that seeing one of her teammates switch over from cross country to triathlon full time, it got me thinking. Both of you were individual sports, and now you've collectively said, "Hey, I'm doing triathlon." What do you think are some of the benefits, and why should people choose triathlon over doing individual sports like swimming, biking, or cycling and running independently? And what do you feel like are the benefits of doing triathlon?
I would say for me, is the cross training, and to be able to not put the pounding. Like when I was a marathoner, I was a 75 to 80 miles a week of running on your body, right? And that's really hard on your body. So the cross train now as a triathlete really, I think, will prolong how long I can continue to do this before my body's destroyed or something like that. Hopefully, I mean, so I think there's that piece of it, right? Like, I think the variety of new challenges, like, I mean, I was a very good runner and I was a very fast runner. And so that's where swimming came in. Swimming humbled me because I was bad in the pool. I'm not the best in the pool, and it was always this fun challenge for me. So it's kind of fun to have a sport where maybe you excel at one or two of the three sports, and then you got one of them or something that humbles you every day and keeps you down. And but I think it's just the cross training, being able to do the three different sports and lessen my miles. Like I train more hours per week now than I did as a marathoner, but my run mileage is down considerably. And knock on some wood, I've stayed relatively healthy.
And
So
you, Bella?
Yeah, I agree that really like the cross training is very beneficial even for say like a cross country and track runner. If you still racing cross country and track but adding in triathlon training, I think really helps. And cuz I've also had teammates who are part of those and triathlon, and so then they cut back their run mileage, and honestly, I think they're the ones who get the least, like, they're not injured versus the girls who are just running and not cross training. So it definitely helps with that, like you said, and just it's just something more unique, I think. Like for me, it's fun. Whereas like in high school, I would do seasons where I was just running or just swimming. Um, and I had very little time to add in my other two sports. And so just being able to do all three all the time is much more enjoyable than just being stuck doing one.
Thank you for saying that. We say that often. And so for if you're listening and you are a runner and you've been wanting or considering doing your full triathlon, you've just heard the key benefits. Like if you want to run forever or run longer, switch up, try a triathlon and, switch your body up a little bit, switch the things up a little bit. What's the most memorable experience that you've had while racing together? And it can be different. Um, Mike, you can go first, and then Bella, you can follow with your
I'm
memory.
guessing we're going to pick the same thing, and that would be 2018 ITU World Championship Triathlon, Team USA, Gold Coast of Australia. Bella's 15 years old, and the first time she was old enough to qualify and go race this race. And being with all the Team USA athletes and getting to like walk in the Parade of Nations before the races kicked off that week. I mean, there was a lot that went into that trip for us because I got connected with the media team from World Triathlon, and so they and it's pretty funny. Like Tommy Zavaris was there with us. Katie, who is won medals in triathlon,
Mhm.
her husband. And they filmed and did all this documentary stuff on Bella and I together as a father-daughter duo, and we held koala bears and this whole thing before the races and lots of news stories around it. So I would say getting a race at that level, world champs together, was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I was actually 16 though. I was not 15.
Oh, you qualified as a 15-year-old and you turned
I
16.
raced as a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
But that trip was just amazing. And yeah, that was my first draft legal race too. So just kind of that was really like entering into that world, which would lead to racing draft legal for collegiate. And yeah, just all the fun activities we got to do while we were there with Team USA and besides racing, because we took a nice long trip in Australia and we got to do a bunch of Team USA activities together, which was fun. And we got to race together. And then we got to also just have a really nice vacation. And yeah, I love that trip.
Team USA is a really cool opportunity to see the world and to race with others in other nations. Can you tell us very briefly what is that experience like in case there are some people who are looking to qualify at some point for Team USA?
It's a community. So it's like, I mean, it's like a family. And I think that's why these are all like plugs, obviously, for USA Triathlon. So you got to be a USA Triathlon member, and then you got to show up to USA Triathlon, either multi-sport festival or age group national championships, to qualify for your respective sport to then get invited to go there. And I think it's special because it's very hard to qualify depending on the event, because there's only so many spots per country that get to go and race at these events, and then you get your swag. It's like your letter jacket, getting your Team USA kit and your name on it, and you're rocking around. So it's pretty fun.
Cool. That's cool. What is one thing you wish you would have known before entering in the sport of triathlon?
Bella?
I don't know. I kind of just jumped into it and just stuck with it. I don't really know if there's anything I wish I would have known.
I wish I would have known how to swim better.
Mm.
I was
Yeah, I
allowed.
didn't have that problem.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, because I just jumped into this and I started finding the community. And I think that that's the biggest thing that I would say to anybody who's listening and like nervous about triathlon. Triathlon is a really welcoming community and it's a really positive community. And from my job at like Rudy Project and stuff with all these teams and clubs I work with, I mean, it's a way of life for people. It's social, it's interaction, it's your team, and you don't have to be Team USA material or something. You just got to get up and do it, go from point A to point B. And so that's the beauty of the sport, I think, is that it's just really community driven. Yeah.
So, what happens, Bella, when you don't feel like, when you're not motivated to work out? What is dad like on those days?
Um, I usually don't really have an option. I kind of just I have to work out regardless if I want to or not. Um, unless like I'd say the only exception is if I'm in pain. Especially since having an injury. I guess if something is like really wrong, then there's an exception, but kind of just always have to be ready to go. And if I'm not in the mood that day, I just gotta suck it up and go work out.
Good answer. Um, since this is a Father's Day,
I mean, I don't know if it's that harsh, but for me, I'm fueled on endorphins.
you said fueled on endorphins.
Yeah, did I say the right word? Sorry, the camera paused for a second there, so it was like this choppy.
Ah, this darn internet, I tell you, you can't trust it these days.
I know.
It's Father's Day where we're celebrating Father's Day. So, Bella, give a tribute to your dad about how this sport has helped to create you.
Um, yeah, I mean, he's the one who got me into it when I was 8 years old. And he kind of just, I guess he pushed me to start training and racing because he started doing it. I don't exactly remember. I know, I mean, I'd been swimming since I was probably 6 or 7. And then since he was running, we we did my first 5K together. Um, and yeah, and so he kind of just got me into it, and that's been really my life ever since. And so then it's just that's what we do together every day is we would bike together and we'd run together. Say biking with him and training on the bike with him has given me a huge advantage. I draft off of him, which helps, but he's much stronger than me, so it has made me a stronger cyclist, which is great. Same with running because he runs much faster than I do. So having him as like a run coach when I was younger, and doing track workouts with him has always been helpful. And even just like still now, we swim next to each other, even if we're not doing the same swim sets. We go to the pool at the same time and we just go in lanes right next to each other and we're there at the same time and we can occasionally talk to each other on the wall if we're both at the wall at the same time. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's really it's he's the reason I'm doing it in college and he's the reason I picked the colleges I went to and I'm a collegiate athlete and I've met a lot of my friends because I chose to do this sport and like that's kind of and he's then the reason that I'm interested in the field um of like work that I'm probably going to go into and all of that. So big influence on my life.
Oh, look at that, getting dad emotional. She knows I'm now going to upgrade her to Delta One on the way to Germany.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, happy Father's Day, Mike, and thank you for
Oh,
being such a shining example I can tell that you love your family. At age group nationals, just seeing Bella with you and you cheering for her when she was racing and vice versa. And just for what you do for sport, you are definitely a pillar in the sport. And um, it is an honor to say that I know Mr. Mike Bunting and now Bella Bunting. So thank you so much. It's an honor to watch you race. I follow uh, some of your stuff through your dad. So it's really impressive to see. And so I have a question because you race with the sport, the like the bathing suit, right?
Yeah.
We've had a question. Are those comfortable?
I prefer it over the ones that go past, like, I guess a normal tri suit with the legs. I find it to be more comfortable, especially for running.
Mm.
And
And
I've
does it
always
have
just, I think I'm just used to like, I mean, I'm used to swimsuits with growing up swimming, but I also, even when I do like brick workouts, I only like to do it in the shorts that are like the shortest length you can possibly buy because I don't really like to run in anything that's too long.
hmm. So does a swimsuit tri-suit have chamois in it?
So certain ones do. When I first started, they didn't, but
Okay.
Zoot ones do have like a little chamois in it. Which is why the Zoot like racing suit is my absolute favorite, and so we use that for jury, which is really nice.
I have to go off topic because that has been the biggest thing. We were like, what is it? Anyway, so there it is. All right. Well, we're going to do rapid fire questions. So, real quick, real short. Mike, you are, you're a man of many talents. And I absolutely admire that, especially being a musician myself. And so, but the professional fisherman, I did not know about. If we
Yeah.
had more time, I have to ask about that. But with that said, between music, fishing, and triathlons,
Triathlon,
rank,
no question.
you didn't let me finish the question.
Sorry.
Rank them in order of preference.
Triathlon, music, fishing. I don't really fish much anymore.
Mhm.
I still love music. I went to my first concert last night since pre-COVID pretty much. And I came home and I was like, I'm too old for this because I'm getting up at like 6 a.m. the next day to go rock the pool with Bella. So yeah.
Mm, okay. Bella, what's your favorite artist?
Um, Taylor Swift.
Okay. What or who inspires you? And that's for both of you.
Um, I guess I guess I'll say my dad, one of the people. My mom too, though. So both my parents.
I love that. Mike?
I mean, definitely Bella inspires me. And I'd also say a really good friend of mine, Manuela, inspires me. She's someone I met years ago, and I encouraged her to do her first marathon and became her coach. And now she's a marathon maniac and lives in Germany. And so we text often. And when I follow her stuff on Strava, she keeps me motivated with my distance running.
Love it. Mike, what's your favorite? Who's your favorite artist?
Oh, I mean, it's tough, but I mean, the greatest artists to me, the greatest songwriters would be the Beatles.
Indoor trainer or outdoor cycling?
Outdoor.
Outdoor, definitely.
Race in hot and sunny weather or cool and cloudy weather?
Hot and sunny.
Hot and sunny.
Road bike or triathlon bike?
Road bike for me.
Triathlon bike. Depends on what the ride is, I should say.
Mm. High cadence cycling or grinding it out with lower cadence?
Bella,
Cadence probably. I mean, I used to ride with lower cadence a lot more, but working on that.
high cadence.
Mhm. Swim, bike, run, rank them in order of preference.
Swim, run, bike.
Bike, run, swim. Used to probably be run, bike, but I like my bike a lot as I get older.
T1 or T2, which is more challenging?
T1.
Did you both say T1?
We did. Yeah.
Taper week, love it or hate it?
Love it.
Hate it.
Why do you hate it, Mike?
Because I like to be in motion, and resting for races is the worst. Like I said, like I train 7 days a week, always. The only rest days I have are travel days of race week, typically. I can't sit still, and I'm a happier person if I can exercise.
So how do you stay healthy working out 7 days a week with no recovery?
Because some days are recovery. So
Okay.
like, I could have an easy day where I don't do anything but a light swim. So it's not a full day off, but it's kind of a day off because it might just be, as my friend Jody would say, we're just going to go splish splash in the pool for 30 minutes today, you know? And
okay. And speaking of recovery, what's your favorite recovery tool or method?
I mean, we have both the compression boots and a massage gun at home. I probably prefer the massage gun even over the boots. It's just easier to use.
Yeah. I like to use that.
Okay. Most challenging race experience?
Oh. I would, well, Ironman, the last Ironman I did in 2014 was Ironman Wisconsin. And that was the most, that race experience was extremely tough. It's not that the course necessarily is so brutal compared to other courses I've done, but Bella was there. She witnessed. I got really sick in the run. So to give a quick story on 2014 Ironman, because I know this is not rapid fire, I basically had a really good swim and bike. And then I came off and I had a really good 5K run. And then I got deathly sick to literally walk, puke, lay in med tents. They wanted to pull me from course. And I just kept on going in a dizzy black spell. I couldn't keep any food in me. And literally it took me like 7 hours to complete the marathon portion of that Ironman that day. And I lost 14 pounds in the race and had to spend a few hours in the medical tent getting 2 IVs before I was even good enough to get up and walk away. So that was a pretty tough race experience, but I finished in 13 hours still.
Bella.
I would say collegiate nationals is probably my toughest.
Okay. Wow. That is a lot. 7 hours and puking is definitely uncomfortable. So I'm glad that you were able to finish, and would advise anyone else. Sometimes it's better to figure out some other alternatives so that you can live to try again, because sometimes that can be very dangerous. But luckily, you know your body, you are an avid marathoner. And so I'm glad that you were able to keep it moving. And IVs are clutch.
IVs are the best.
They are the best.
I'm known for going to the medical tent. So my family knows this, that typically when I cross a finish line, I'm probably going to end up in a wheelchair and I'm probably going to end up in a medical tent because I like to push myself extremely hard. And to the fault, Boston Marathon one, I think one of the first years when this happened to me and I ended up in a medical tent, I learned that they then bring you to the front of the line for a massage, and they go get your medal and your clothes and bring them to you in a tent because you're in the medical tent. So I started learning these perks you get. So it kind of was like, hey, this ain't a bad idea to go to the medical tent. Like, I'm going to get a few perks, even though I'm like feeling pretty miserable.
Well, tell us the secret sauce to the race hack. Go to the medical tent afterwards. Well, thank you both so much for tuning in with us. Whenever you try beginners, like, you truly always win. It has been an honor and a joy to have both of you. Continued congratulations to you, Bella, on your past season, and speedy recovery to you as you heal forward. And Mike, kudos to you in a few weeks that you will be in Challenge Roth doing your full distance. Is it 140? Because theirs is not, it's 140.6 as well.
Yeah,
Or is
yeah.
it-
So it's 3.8. Yeah, same thing. 3.8 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah. Which so I'm nervous. I feel like I'm cramming for a test right now because my travel schedule has been a little bonkers and my training weeks are up and down. But so yeah, I'm excited.
Well, kudos to you and happy early birthday to you. I hope you go out there and rock it. I'll be following you and wishing you much success. For those of you who are listening, go like and subscribe on YouTube as well as us on Instagram. We're really excited about the Ask a Coach segment. So if you have questions, please send us in your questions. We'll get them answered by our resident coaches. With that said, I am Mashonda Shines and we are out. Peace. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to this episode. We need your help so we can continue to try at TBL. So for more information on where you can find and subscribe to this podcast, visit www.trybeginnersluck.com. And don't forget, whenever you try beginner's luck, you always win.